here today at the incredible Christmas place, which is located in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. We've had our Cagney Class D number 2 here for the past month and a half. It's been on display, and we're hoping that within the next year or so, a locomotive similar to this, as well as some of our cars, will be operating here at the Christmas place. I'm going to take a few minutes to show you a few scenes of the locomotive operating here at Christmas place. And we're also going to talk about why it's important to have this type of locomotive and why it works well at operations like the Christmas place here in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. So enjoy a few scenes of us operating the locomotive here. We'll come back and talk to you a little bit about why this operation is going to be a great success and how we can help build an operation like this for someplace that might interest you or that you might have in mind as well.
Check it out.
A lot of people ask us about number 2 here. Number 2 was built in 1911 by the Cagney brothers in New York City. This locomotive was actually restored by Don Micheletti, a good friend of mine from the San Francisco, California area. Don's done a number of beautiful restorations all over the California area, and Don came to a point in his life where he decided the locomotive needed a new home, so we were able to pick it up from Don. And we've been really happy to have it because this year in 2011 we'll be reproducing this exact locomotive and selling these replicas of the 1911 locomotives. In fact, we've got 2 of them on the shop floor right now that are under full construction. So this is a really nice locomotive. This is what we're going to be using as our pattern for the new locomotives. And this is the locomotive that we've been running here at Pigeon Forge, Tennessee at the incredible Christmas place. What intrigued me so much about the locomotive is it's so complete as an original Cagney locomotive. And when I talk about the completeness of it, I'm referring to most of the castings of the locomotive and the conditions they're in. This cab is a complete original casting, and it's absolutely beautiful. The smokestack, the bell yoke casting, the sand dome, the pilot casting, the cylinder castings, all of the castings of this locomotive were just in outstanding condition. Not only did it have all of its original castings, it also has its original fenders which go over the drive wheels, which is unique for the Cagney locomotives. During the years of operation, these locomotives, usually the running boards, or the fenders rather, would fall off and they'd be cast away and then you'd never see them again. Well, this locomotive still has its fenders, as well as a lot of the other small, minor decorative pieces of the locomotive. So when I first saw the locomotive, I was really intrigued because when you look at it in person, you can see all of the little details of the original Cagney locomotives that we've only seen in photographs. One of the things that we're going to strive to do as we reproduce this 1911 locomotive is to make sure that it includes some of those small and minor details that you would see in the old photographs from the early 1900s, but not necessarily see in all of the locomotives that have been restored today. So we're really excited to have this locomotive in our possession, be able to use it as our pattern for the new 1911 locomotives. We hope as we get through the design and the completion process of these locomotives, you'll be able to see those little touches in each one of the locomotives. We've learned a lot about these locomotives working on them over the last almost 15 years now. One of the things that we've learned is that each locomotive was individually built. They were all handmade. Though they had drawings and patterns for them, they weren't made in a mass production type style. One of the neat things about this locomotive now and our reproduction of this locomotive is that we're going to be able to reproduce a lot of these at one time using modern state-of-the-art technology. We're going to be able to use plasma cutting machines, CNC machines, all kinds of new technology. One of the great technologies about the new locomotives we're building is that they're all roller bearing locomotives except for the side rods. But All of the axles will be roller bearings. All of the pieces are plasma cut. So all of the locomotives from here on out are going to be identical. What that's going to do for us is it's going to allow us to provide replacement parts as needed without having to worry if they fit any individual locomotive, as they were all individually built in the past. Now they're being built by computers and machines. So the use of technology today is going to allow us to produce a locomotive where they're all the same and all identical, and they're really going to be fine running machines. This number 2 is a great running locomotive. We're excited to get our first one done because we think it's going to be every bit as good a runner or even better than this one runs. As we tour around with number 2, we're often asked questions about what the locomotive burns, why it burns, what it burns. This particular locomotive is set up for 2 types of fire. The first one being coal. The original coal grates that were in these locomotives are still in this particular locomotive. However, on the top of that, Don Micheletti was able to devise a propane burner that sits on top of the grates. So this locomotive will burn propane or coal. It's interesting though that these locomotives, even as new as we're building them, will burn any of 3 different types of fuel. You can get them to burn coal, propane, or diesel fuel. We've got a diesel burner that will work in these, and it works quite well. The propane and the diesel fuel work best for operations like we see here at Christmas Place, or operations where there's going to be a lot of public around, because you don't get the smoke and the smell out of it, and you don't have to deal with the ashes as well. So typically as we go around a tour and do shows and operations and events like this, we'll stick to burning just propane so that we don't have to deal with the mess of burning coal and having to clean that up and bother people with the smoke and different things like that. But even though it burns these different types of fuel, it is still a live steam locomotive, even though it burns those different types of fuel. We had a few people even here today ask us, well, if it burns propane, it's not a real steam locomotive. It is still a live steam locomotive. Whistle still works. Still has steam in it. Runs just like a real steam locomotive. Just burns propane. So it's a lot of fun, and we actually enjoy the propane a little bit more than the coal because you don't have to wear it all over in your face. Operations like the one we're going to see here at Christmas Place, built through the next year, I believe are going to become more and more desired, I guess we could say, by groups and projects like the Incredible Christmas Place, specialty farms, wineries, attractions that draw a certain type of crowd that wants something that brings that nostalgic type of feel to their operation and to the general product that they're providing to the customer and to the public. One of the interesting aspects about the train operating here at the Christmas Place is that this train really does draw in a feel of nostalgia. It brings people together where they had memories of the past that they can't give that memory to their younger children, but now they'll be able to share that memory with their younger children. Because not only are they able to see and operate the locomotive, they're also able to tell stories about why the locomotive was important, when they ran on trains like this, and how they remember going to some of the bigger parks like Coney Island and the other big parks that actually operated these trains in the past. So it's that nostalgic feeling and that ability to bring everybody together and remember something really neat and really historic. So I really believe that over the next couple of years we're going to see more organizations like the Incredible Christmas Place adopt trains like this, simply because it brings in that draw and it ties all of that history together. As we learned last November at the IAAPA show, which we'll be attending again this year, 2011, in Orlando, Florida, we were asked quite often what it takes to design and build an operation like this, like the one that we're going to see here at the Incredible Christmas Place. Building and designing an operation like this can be difficult, yet it can be easy. Really, some of the things that you need to look at are the amount of land that you have, the size of operation that you want, and what you want that operation to do. Once you've got some of those ideas in the back of your mind, the best thing to do is to call somebody like us, have us come out and look at your property. We'll bring some diagrams, we'll take a look at your property, we'll take a look at the amount of space that you have and be able to present to you the best idea and the best option as to how to go about designing an operation like this and implementing that operation into your program. Not all operations are going to be the same. They're all going to have unique characteristics. They're all going to have their unique challenges in terms of gradient and people and traffic and parking and things like this. So it's going to be important that once you've got that vision and once you know that you want an operation like this at your facility, to bring us in and start talking to us about what's feasible and what's not. Rest assured, we're not going to sell you or get you into a program that's not going to be a good fit for you. And keep in mind always that, again, some places it's going to be really easy and other places it might be a little difficult. But keep that dream and keep that vision, and we'll be the ones to come out there and help you figure out whether or not we can make it all work for you. My greatest love and passion for this industry is the friendships that I've been able to make over the last few years, restoring the locomotives, working on them, be them big or small. But I really believe that this industry is one that's made up of people, not necessarily machines. And I've been really honored over the years to make a lot of really great acquaintances, one of which was Don Micheletti, still is Don Micheletti, of the San Francisco area of California. Don became a good friend of mine while I was restoring my grandfather's 1904 Cagney locomotive as my high school metal shop project. And I left for 2 years to serve a mission for my church, and I was gone away to Poland. And during that time, Don wrote me some very extensive letters that had to do with railroading and trains and different things like that. I returned back from my mission and asked Don one time why it was that he wrote me such long and extensive letters. And he says, well, he had served overseas in the service and he had gotten very few letters. And the letters that he got always meant a lot to him because they were full of great information and good friendships. And some of the best friendships in his life were made through those letters. Well, he decided that it was part of his duty to return that favor, make sure that I got some really nice letters. Well, anyway, Don and I grew to have a great friendship and a great relationship, and I still, even to this day, really admire Don for what he did in sending those letters, writing those letters to me. But Don is just one of the many examples of the great customers and great friendships, rather, that we've been able to make over the years. And if I feel like I have one thing to contribute to this industry, or one thing that we can contribute most to the industry, it's that of building good relationships with people. I would far rather have a good relationship with somebody than just say that I was able to work on or restore that person's locomotive. So as you look around the industry, if you're looking for somebody that you need to have work on your locomotive, or you're looking for somebody to build you a new locomotive or some cars, we hope that you consider us not simply for the work that we do or the passion that we have in the work that we do, but for the opportunity that we have to build a long-term relationship. And even if we never do business together, just getting to know each other and being able to share one another's knowledge and one another's talents, that's worth the world to us. And so just want to take a minute and let all of you know exactly what it is that's most exciting to me about this industry, and hope that all of you know and understand that people will always be far more important to me than just the machine.